Or some control here on the bottom side of the map. Blinding darts continually being thrown onto Max just to stop his engage potential from being too dangerous. Going to be jumping in, of course. Being low on health is something that's good for the team that's going to get engaged on, as Max now down to half health. Tarzan going to look for the ultimate. Oh, finds it after the arcane shift, but doesn't get it after the flash. But that is still the flash now on cooldown for Pilot.
And some summoners now, no flash for MVP on the bot side, as Max used his before. Sword is still going to continue building for lane and being happy against the Cho'Gath. Chovy in the mid lane, very competitive against the against the Zoe. Went Hex Drinker and going to go work into a Phantom Dancer, so slowed down his build. Showing a bit of respect there as Sejuani wasn't coming mid.
Yeah, a few different options for the Yasuo here in this lane. A lot of them just like to build for the Sterix a little bit earlier, but I do like having the Hex Drinker, despite the fact that the cooldown reduction on the more of Malmortius makes you feel a little bit silly. But more Wind Walls is good.
And everything that isn't the teamer really interacts well with Chovy in a team fight. He actually has a lot of setup for the last breath, whether it's the Gnar ultimate or Alistair Headbutt Pulverize. They're the two reliable ways to set up a fight. So, once again, game plan here for Griffin. Hit the 1-3-1 at your right item timings, and then so many reliable ways to set up the last breath means that this could be a game that's hard carried by the Yasuo.
Yeah, and at the moment, things looking pretty good for Sword as well on the top side of the map. Looks like he's going to be building towards his Wit's End as the first item, as ADD is going to be largely magic damage. Yondu, considering a gank here on the bottom side, but he's going to be thwarted and discovered. Ian's going to turn up as well. Able to stay out of vision relatively easily, but Viper now just littering the area with these Easter eggs. And it's going to mean that MVP do not want to risk it. You stand on a shroom at the wrong time here in this lane if you're going for a dive, and you could just look really, really dumb.
Especially if a counter gank comes through as you're slowed and taking a bit of that ticking damage, Atlas. So
yeah.
They actually had deep control wards, did Tarzan. He was going to be able to be there eventually, and MVP had incomplete information. So smart of them to not look for that, but I understand the play. Already tonight, so many teams. Ezreal bot lane, come around, end the laning phase, and then rotate the Ezreal around to get the outer ring. That is the standard playbook with the Ezreal, and it's something they'd like to implement, but for now, going to be slowed down a bit.
The thing that I do like, I guess, about having the Teemo in this game as well is that you can wave clear from a very long way by just littering the lane with shrooms. So as the minion wave moves up, they all die to the mushrooms as they get towards turrets. So you can get a lot of extra lane control with a Teemo if you can at least get the setup on the map with the little rodent.
I do like that you use the term littering, though, because that's what I think of. Well, I think of it in the...
The littering's already happened by Griffin, as Lehens will have to use the ultimate. Is going to survive, of course, but now Griffin without the opportunity of engaging with their Alistair, which is huge. This dive certainly a possibility now, as Yondu once again going to move over and try and get himself in position for it. Not a lot of on-demand wave clear here, as Viper, little scout is going to use his extra movement speed with a W to try and get up the lane. And Griffin back down here, but Ian does land the trouble bubble onto the Sejuani. MVP still don't want to fight for it.
They got quite a lot of time. You'll notice not a lot of turret damage being done. Usually these plays from MVP are set plays when the turret's low, but the turret's not actually that low, Atlas. So it's actually wasting a lot of time from MVP. They're going to need a couple more visits. Yondu fishing.
Yep, flash once again going to come out of Lehens. Yondu's very squishy at the moment, has gone for that Runic Echoes. There's the flash forward! The Arctic Assault is in, immediately flashes to get out. A Pulverize comes in, a really nice ultimate from Tarzan as Max is going to just barely survive. Ian, over the side, doesn't land the trouble bubble as Sword and ADD still fighting on the top side, but man, that was close on the bottom of the map.
Griffin just waiting for their chances. Ian does the chase, won't get the kill.
That was his actual flash.
Yeah. Not really sure about why he used his actual flash, but it certainly wasn't in...
I'm not sure why Griffin picked Teemo, but you know, these things happened, and they happened today. Sword trying to find the solo kill onto ADD. Now underneath the turret.
Again, the play from MVP is the right one, but the timing is wrong. They need more chip damage to actually set up for a 4-man dive. It's going to take too long. It's going to take 3 minion waves for them to take down the turret. And so much is going to happen on the map if Griffin doesn't come, and it's so much time for Griffin to think about things and then come later and set up for a fight. So they had so much time to communicate that MVP were never realistically going to get the turret, and this ends up being a bit muddied play by MVP.
Max doesn't have flash, remember, so this Rakan very squishy. Possible to take him down as Ian. He's going to stopwatch. That's going to buy space for Griffin, potentially. Decide not to go for it. Headbutt Pulve was available. well as the ult from Chovy, but Ian's going to walk away from this one.
Well, Teemo doing more damage in lane than the Ezreal.
Yeah, he's just been spamming his Q onto Max over and over again. This is what we're talking about. You just chuck the shrooms down, and Teemo has a pretty easy time clearing out minion waves. And Luden's Echo, like you were saying, is going to be the pickup.
Arguably an easier time than the Ezreal.
Yeah.
Both of those champions criticized for having very little on-command wave clear, which is always a highly prized thing, solo lane or no.
Yep. True Shot Barrage probably the closest thing to Ezreal's ability to do that. But like you say, Viper now, with his Luden's Echo freshly done, will be much better when it comes to taking down these waves.
I want to draw your attention to the build from Sword. He went Phage, Boots 2 into the Null Magic Mantle Negatron Cloak. So he didn't rush into Wit's End first. The theory here is you want to get movement speed so you can sidestep the Rupture and any potential all-ins from ADD, rather than just focusing on, I do a lot of damage with my auto attacks. So yeah. I prefer this build because it still does what you want. You're still going to get a lot of harass onto AD, but by the time you finish the Wit's End, you have enough points in Hyper to really pay off what the Wit's End provides them.
Oh, Mountain Drake now being picked up here by MVP is Chovy's looking for Ian, doesn't get the knock-up as Windwall flies through as well. That's now on cooldown, it's Lehens, he's here. Spots 3 at the Drake. Can they do anything about this? Nope. Griffin just going to give that one up, try and clear out some vision. And Shelly's also going to stay in her den as well. So 18 minutes. Now we'll need to start that Rift Herald ASAP if she is actually going to be utilized this game.
I wonder if Oblivion Orb is going to be the next pickup, as Sword is going to have to use some of the CC. If Oblivion Orb will be the next pickup from Viper, because then he'll have double Magic Pan. Pilot's gone Iceborne Gauntlet for comp. He's not against a Jace, which is usually where we see the Iceborne Gauntlet. He's against a Yasuo, so he's gone for the armor there. But double Magic Pen will be basically true damage on these auto Q trades from the Teemo in lane. And the Morellonomicon gets massive value against the Gragas and the Cho'Gath in particular. So I think Oblivion Orb would be a really nice pickup for the Teemo at this present point.
And the other thing that's really going well for Griffin when it comes to the Teemo pickup is that we're still in a laning phase. It's close to 20 minutes into the game. We haven't had a turret go down yet. We just had the Rift Herald taken. It's good news for Sword. He wants to be laning for as long as possible in his positive matchup. And Tarzan, he's been able to get around this map, do what he wants, and the Teemo sitting in that lane is happily just laning and laning and laning, shooting Max in the face with blinding darts, things like that. And MVP haven't been able to take down the turret with their regular marksman.
And it's even worse than that, Atlas, because they haven't been able to take down the turret with the regular marksman who has a range advantage and also multiple gank spot side as well, with a lot of jungle and mid laner time wasted. So it's even more of a pressing concern for MVP that they messed up some of their timings around the dive. First brick, solo, first turret blood gold does go the way of Sword, who now is going to have plenty of items on his recall.
Yeah, Black Cleaver actually picked up as his first item, wants to get all of that CDR, went from 0 to 20%. One fell swoop. That feels great as the Gnar.
And this game will go from 0 to 60 when Yasuo is also able to hit the side wave, and we get the 1-3-1 that clearly Griffin are building towards with the team comp they have.
Yep, Tarzan even able to take down another Rift Scuttler. Griffin have had complete jungle control as well this game, it feels like. Yondu, he's been focusing bottom side, yes, but otherwise the rest of the map has belonged to Griffin. They were able to take the Rift Herald without any contest at all, and we saw in all of our recent series that every time that damn thing gets started, there is a battle.
Something getting started is the Rift Herald in the mid lane. It's going to be most of the turret, and Sword walks down at the same time. Very nice map movement here from Griffin.
Perfect Gnar as well as he sidesteps. That one easily take down the second turret of the game on the bottom side. First brick went to the Gnar on his own. That was how he was able to afford the Black Cleaver, of course, as Shelly's dealt with, but the map is in shambles, and Griffin still hold on to this bottom lane.
And MVP in some ways have been dealt with, Atlas, and the reason why I say that is it's a third game of Zoe and Ezreal today. Zoe Ezreal got a 3-turret-to-0 lead in multiple series already, but now the sieging comp that wants to safely load up in a short lane and siege has no turrets. The comp against it that wants to go 1-3-1 has 2 turrets down already, and the game plan around hitting the mid lane with the Luden's Echo on the mid laner and also 2-item Ezreal, that time has already passed with a gold lead to Griffin and a turret lead to Griffin.
Yeah, it's getting really, really difficult to deal with. And it's only going to become more oppressive when, like you were talking about, the 1-3-1 that is so strong from Griffin becomes enacted. Because then you need about 4 people in order to take down one in a side lane, and the rest of your map is going to disintegrate before your eyes.
And if you ever try to collapse and you just walk over 4 shrooms or your timings are off, there's so many ways you can control the river with the Teemo that actually collapsing on the 1 in the 1-3-1, whether it is top or bot, is going to be really an exercise in frustration for MVP.
Well, it's already an exercise in frustration for MVP, Papa, because there's a Teemo in this game.
Zoning exhaust there as Max wants to change summoners.
Yeah. Oh, man. Spellbook is like slightly less annoying Zoe when it comes to trying to work out why summoner spells are just being used for no reason on the map.
But of course, with the 1 to 10 being quite close to 10 with the Zoe, so still pretty damn annoying.
Yeah, that's very true. Although, she's not annoying at all this game. That award is going to go solely to Viper as, okay, we're going to have a last breath in the mid lane. It's a decent cast to make it a little bit of a problem, but that's a better ultimate to come out from Tarzan. And ADD, he's got the Righteous Glory, but he's just not going to be there in time.
Because he doesn't have priority in the top, even though he's closer. He can't walk early. He always has to be waiting to see what the Gnar is going to do. By the time he's there, the kill already happens. I think Chovy is definitely the best Yasuo player on this team. Thought Viper was a bit too gung-ho and when to choose his last breaths, and that was pretty noticeable when we saw him playing it last series. So I see Chovy on it. Viper's walking up 1v2 because Tarzan is here.
Yep, Lehens is down here as well, but thankfully Battle Dance from Max is going to mean that he's very safe. And Viper going to continue being annoying. Tarzan just blocking to try and get more cooldown for these shrooms to come in. Viper wanting to litter this lane as much as possible. Yondu turns up, making this a 3 versus 3. Is okay. Lehens going to be able to get a Battle Dance out of Max. Not exactly the hugest cooldown to trade for a headbutt pole. But testing the waters. 3.2 thousand gold in the lead. Griffin, they've got themselves the Infernal Drake. Cloud Drake going to be coming next. Earth, Wind, and Fire again.
Wit's End is turned on just as the Hyper is hit level 5. So ADT really would rather deal with this Mega Gnar, because Mini Gnar is very annoying. And in fact, I often think of Mini Gnar as another version of Teemo, and we also have Teemo on the same team.
Yeah.
Double Teemo.
Oh, God. That is not what you want.
No.
You never want
double Rainbows are great.
Yeah, never want a double Teemo, though. That just feels unfair. As Tarzan looking to steal away a red buff, which also feels unfair for Yondu, who's not really owned a jungle so far this game. She's going to reset. The Brown back will walk back home. And that will mean that Gragas is probably able to take it. But you can see they're scared. They don't really want to move down here. Ezreal was in base, and Griffin just have control everywhere on this map. It's all been opened up, and you can see they wanted to get that global gold. But it's just not there. The bottom lane outer turret hasn't been touched since that first time. And now Griffin should be handed this dragon pretty close, pretty easily, and there might even be shrooms that deal with the minion wave moving towards the base as well. MVP are going to at least answer the dragon, so that wasn't free, but the rest of the control around this map certainly is.
Heartbreaking thing from the MVP side is it was one of those cases of right person, wrong time. I liked what they were doing around Bob, but the timing was off both times they did it, and then Griffin made the clutch plays, and now things like this are going to happen.
Yep, the ultimate's going to be used. Ian is able to get out of at least 1 CC with the cleanse, but he's straight up dead. Chovy, too much damage availability, and that's only with 2 items, not the Infinity Edge. This could go from bad to worse very fast for MVP.
A different game where they got that bot lane turret and had Ezreal in the mid lane to end this Yasuo's reign of dominance. Then maybe MVP win it, but in this game, 2 mid lane turrets to 0 for the damn Yasuo in the Zoe lane. Very long mid lane that no one is going to be able to patrol. Soon it's going to be filled with shrooms. And Griffin styling on the team of MVP. There may be a Teemo in this game, but Teemo has been the least influential character on the side of Griffin.
He's basically irrelevant. Tarzan's pretty much won this entire game
they could have had
Griffin so far.
They could have had a Criddle Sticks and the game would have gone the same.
Yeah, or a crit clock. Oh man, did you remember the really confusing thing about Crit Zillion was that he didn't have a crit animation. So you know how you used to be able to tell when you were going to get crit? You can't tell when it's a Zillion.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
There you go. Things I learned.
The reason he didn't have a crit animation is because you'd have to be pretty insane to build crit on a Zillion.
Hey man, Prey was halfway there. He was playing bot lane AD Zillion. So by AD I mean awesome dude. He wasn't actually building attack damage.
Yeah, yeah.
Gnar.
Okay, gonna get spotted here as he actually just wants to throw things at Max and Yondu. They're trying to get some control around this Baron. Of course, MVP always do. 26.5 minutes into the game, haven't really seen much of the big purple guy for quite some time.
Oh, Leandries.
Oh, God, yeah. And double BF sword for Chovy as well.
Well, I don't really know what a 5v5 looks like that Chovy doesn't die instantly in, that MVP can win. And remember, their comp was the Siege dream of we go to a short lane, put down control wards, start lobbing down our spikes, which are the Mystic Shot and the Paddle Star in this analogy, and then the enemy fails an all-in or just loses their turret in front of them. However, now there's so many long lanes for them to get flanked from, and also a significant gold lead the way of Griffin. That means the game plan is gone, and yeah, looking like a rough one for MVP.
Yeah, and think about what a game does to you after you win or you lose. You know, we talk about mentality a lot, we talk about psychology a lot. What happens when you lose to a team? Like in the LCK 2018.
Oh, I was going to say you just get out of your chair, you close the League of Legends game, and you do something else. Which is probably what's going to happen at the end of this as well.
My recommendation would be get out of your chair, close the League of Legends game, and throw your computer out the window. But that might be the more extreme approach.
You're clearly getting paid more for this gig than I am, because I can't afford to do that every time I lose to a team.
I certainly can't afford it. I guarantee you that much. I love my computer. Would never throw it out the window. But Teemo does make you do pretty crazy things, as I'm sure all of you guys at home are aware of. Okay, Blade of the Ruined King completed here for Pilot, so he's hit about peak performance, 20 CS ahead of the Teemo at the moment, but both of them right on the clock when it comes to that one. Zhonya's Hourglass could be the next option here for Viper, as he's got a broken stopwatch sitting in his back pocket. The main thing we ought to talk about, though, is the fact that Chovy has got the Infinity Edge. He's 1-0-1, he's behind, he's ahead in farm by about 1 trillion. That's about 50 CS is going to be the lead.
There's definitely a meanwhile at sword situation going on as well, as he had just bought a straight up blade. So he also is something that the Cho'Gath can't itemize for. And look, it's a 1-3-1, going to be threatened.
And look at all of the shrooms that are flanking this Teemo, who's just bunkered down. We were talking about bunker compositions. This is looking like the bunker 3 of the 1-3-1.
The cool thing you can do as a Teemo comp in competitive is you know the enemy team's going to overload on sweepers, so hold the point.
Yep, there's the knock-up, and Yondu, he's going to have to flash. Does use the cast pretty nicely, but there's the follow-up ultimate to come in from Tarzan. Max is just going to get eaten alive. Chovy free hitting in the front line like a beast. And the Yasuo is going to be able to get them 2 kills, and Griffin look like they're moving towards Baron.
Never looked like getting any less than 2 kills, Atlas. A pentakill if there was a grouped enemy. Conqueror procs. He still has his flash. He still has his cleanse.
So much true damage now that the Infinity Edge is done as well. You mentioned the Conqueror to add on to it. And now the Baron has been started by Griffin. ADD, he wants to be near there. He does have teleport available. And of course, MVP want to try and fight for this. Ian has picked up a smite, which is very important. As Viper does avoid the trouble bubble, they're going to pull off it. They don't want to get in there and risk this smite being utilized.
Respecting the level 16 smite, Atlas, the biggest smite was available to the Zoe.
Yeah, I think it's intelligent that they pulled away.
There's always going to be a better spot. They almost can't lose a 5v5 unless Chovy gives away his life. He walks up. It takes a little while for him to gap close, but once he starts doing damage, needs no introduction. Just how much damage he does. 4 shots to Rakan with just auto attacks. He is monstrously strong.
I have to say that Tarzan has looked brilliant on this Sejuani today as well. Really flawless engages, understanding when to engage as well, moving around the map really nicely. It's been beautiful play from Tarzan again today. Probably won't get the MVP, but that seems to be Tarzan's lot so far in the LCK.
Just a small point I wanted to get to about the choice of a sweeper or blue trinket or yellow trinket against a Teemo comp. We're going to watch this replay.
That's
ended up being 2 people.
To try and get, Sword out of here. Does use Blade of the Ruined King, desperately wants to turn back. Into Mininar has to use the flash in order to survive. Remember, Sword actually does have fleet footwork as well this game, which is an odd choice, but a cool one. Give him extra mobility.
For situations where being ganked, it can be important. If you're the team MVP, you want to take sweepers to try to deal with the Teemo shrooms. That means you have less blue trinkets, and you can actually still play a really strong Baron game. Whatever the choice is against Teemo, less sweepers, they step on shrooms. More sweepers, they don't have spot vision. So when it comes to the Baron setup here for Griffin, they kill off the Rift Scuttler. They have already so many shrooms in the area, and you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're MVP.
And look at all these shrooms around the Baron pit as well. MVP understanding that, Griffin understanding that MVP do like to start Barons, and maybe they'll just walk into the pit and die to a Teemo because there's just shrooms all over it. Now Viper's having a pretty good time here now with his 3 items. As we crest the end of the mid game, moving into the late game territory now with our main builds basically completed. We've got a Void Staff on the way here for Ian by the looks of things with that blasting one, but Last Whisper's done for Pilot. The Ezreal is getting towards some items, but you just look at the Yasuo and you feel, what is MVP going to do? He's even got a stopwatch there. And Griffin in so much control. 7,000 gold the lead, almost exactly. And, MVP can clear out some vision, clear out some shrooms by running into them. But, it's really hard to get towards this Baron that Griffin on the cusp of starting.
Major problem for the Ezreal here is that you want a good, honest front-to-back team fight. It just never will happen against the team you're against. They've got so many different ways to make a fight dishonest, whether it is those shrooms, as we mentioned. They also have Yasuo Wind Wall to cut down damage. It's very difficult for pilots to get the sort of fight that a Ezreal can profit in. And that is the struggle they have to deal with. They put down some control wards. They now have to go back and refill the control wards just to even have a path to get to something like the Baron. And Viper says, I'd like a blue buff, 40% CDR, and to return to the scene of the crime, which in this case is the Baron.
Yep, he is going to be able to do that easily. Of course, Griffin relinquishing a lot of control so they could give Tarzan a decent back as well. He goes back and finishes off his Warmogs as well as that Gargoyle's Stone Plate. He is well and truly sorted out on this Sejuani. And Griffin now going to come back, litter the area with shrooms, continue the frustration here for MVP. They have slowed down as far as their assault on the enemy base is concerned, but Griffin just want to enact this 1-3-1 and continue the pressure.
Ian changed his blue trinket to a sweeper to help out with the sweeping mission. Remember, that means they only have 1 blue trinket for the spot check.
Well, also, Chovy's in a whole host of trouble. Does get the knock-up, though. Just explodes Max. It's another double. Pilot's going to be taken down. This looks like the ridiculous Yasuo's in your solo queue as he picks up basically 3 kills on his own, and the rest of the team turns up.
Who's ganking who in that case?
Good
1v4.
God.
If he's not CC, he's going to be able to do it. They're tanking up the turret. They don't even give a mundo about this one. Goodbye, turret. They're going to break the base, and ADD says, guys, I came back from the hospital for this.
Yeah, and like, Chovy just made it look like he was smurfing in the LCK. What? We haven't... What? MVP are going to lose their top lane inhibitor turret. The inhibitor going to follow as well, and I have a feeling this game might just be over. Chovy continuing to utilize the gigantic amount of money he has. Stopwatch going to be utilized by ADD, but that's going to delay the inevitable. His health bar evaporates like he's not even a tank. As Max slowed down, not going to get Nard into the wall, but see you later, Nexus and Griffin. A 2-0 over MVP, and Teemo has a win in the LCK.
I believe it is the first ever victory for Teemo in the LCK. Has been played in exhibition matches, but in this case, in a professional match, Teemo picks up the victory. It was the last second.